And there's still people coming in, so we'll let people come in. They'll come and go. I love to host these webinars with the intention that you can certainly ask questions as we go along. I'm not one of those presenters who says you have to wait till the end to have those questions put up. You could put them in the chat, and sometimes you can even raise your hand if I've said something that kind of made you pique your interest and you'd like to know a little bit more. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions because when you registered, I asked that. What questions do you have? And I got some really great questions that we'll have time to answer towards the end, although some of your answers will be incorporated into this presentation. So I thank you all for sharing your time with me today and with each other. We're all part of this community, and we all are working towards, our bodies want to be healthy and whole, and we're all striving, hopefully, to stay in that vein. So let's begin with just taking a moment to come inwards, to just allow yourself to let the chair that you're sitting on hold you instead of you being perfectly upright. And if it's available to you, like some of you I know are driving and listening, please don't do the following. But if it's available, you can soften your eyes. You could close them and just come into your space. All this hustle and bustle of getting here on time and getting the computer working, yada, yada. And now we'll just come into ourselves, our own inner wisdom, our inner knowing, our intention of coming together to share, to learn, to be open to possibilities, and to honor each other. So just take 3 deep breaths of your own. And after you've completed those 3 breaths, coming back to your space, to our space together, feeling energized, alert, and open. Thank you for doing that with me. And I'm going to share screen. We can get going with some of the slides here. All right, I'm going to need some feedback. Can you see this slide? How to exercise effectively in menopause.
Yes.
Yay, can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see anything else on the screen?
I see myself on the left. Just
Yay.
kidding.
Good. Great, because I'm trying something new. It's a new program that I'm using. And so just as an example of always remembering that we can always learn new things, we're always open to new possibilities, and we're letting go of some of the old stuff that we've been conditioned to learn, and we've seen on the news, we've seen it in social media, all of these things. And I'm going to encourage you to just have an open mind with some of the things that I'm going to share with you today. And also be aware that you can ask any questions that you'd like along the way. And I also have a whole question and answer section towards the end of some amazing questions that you brought to me when you registered. So how to exercise effectively in menopause. Yes, we want to know. How do we? So I also want you to know that you can send me any questions from this point onwards to nicole@bluemonarchhealth.com. So perhaps something comes to you later after you've thought about some of this content and you want to ask a question at another point. You could always reach out to me. I will always email you back because your time and your questions are very valuable to me. So I want to take a flashback back to the 1980s for me, and that's me down sitting on the floor when I first became a group fitness instructor around the age of 18. And I didn't know much about fitness. I didn't know much about anything except someone saw something in me and asked me would you like to become a fitness instructor? And I had no clue what that meant, but I just thought, wow, I'm going to try this and just explore what this could mean to my life. So through all of my years of fitness, yes, I've been exposed to many different trends. Some of them being a fitness presenter at one point, and also moving into women's figure competition, which exposed me to a whole other set of culture and a whole other set of different thought processes. This is me at 40. I learned a lot of different things as a fitness presenter, personal trainer, and I was always a nurse alongside all of this. So I've had this interesting combination of being exposed to the fitness side of things, exercise side of things, and also the nursing side of things. And most recently into the coaching world, in the health and wellness coaching world, and looking at people as whole beings. So we are really thinking of people as being more than just a body part trying to fix something, but more of how our environments affect us and how our relationships affect us, how stress can affect us, and all of those components that we recognize we're not just this physical being, which a lot of us are programmed that we have to look a certain way. And I don't know about you, you might raise your hand or give me a little emoji down at the bottom, the little symbols at the bottom that have you been exposed to this kind of criteria where your external body should look a certain way? And how is that affecting you in your decisions as you move through your victorious life? So this is me at 52. I'll be 52 in a month. And I'm just gathering up all of this information as I've gone through my life. And yes, I have a bajillion certifications. I think all nurses do. We love to learn. We're continuous learners. I am very interested in how we age and how we age the way we want to age, how we want to age, with who we want to age, and how we want to do it. I'm very interested in that and having the independence necessary to be able to do that as I roll through the different stages of my life. So I have a certification, which is called a functional aging specialist. And I also have of course, my board certification in nurse coaching. But the most recent one that I'm really proud of is that I became a menopause fitness expert. It was one of the hardest certifications I have done. Thank you for that applause. I appreciate it. Because I learned so much about things that I thought were true that were dispelled in this course. And I thought, gosh, I have been conditioned to learn certain things and be a certain way. And as our hormones are changing, whether we're going through perimenopause, whether we are in menopause, which is actually just a moment in time. So perimenopause happens a few years before we hit that one day of menopause where our periods have been stopped for 1 year. So perimenopause, menopause occurs. That's when our periods have stopped for a total of 1 year. And then anything after that is post-menopause. Who knew? I thought menopause was a stage in time for a certain amount of time, but really it's actually just a point in time. After we've had no period for about a year, whether that is no period, whether that's surgical and or if that's chronological, then we are in this post-menopause stage. So enough chitter chatter about me. I just wanted to let you know that I'm actually qualified to talk about this information, and I am continuously learning. I am not a person who knows everything. I never will, and I'm always wanting to learn more and expose myself to more because you can always teach a younger, older dog new tricks. So, all right. So I like to think of menopause as a stage where we are transitioning through a new stage of our lives. It's a natural sign. All women go through this stage, just as we went through puberty. Now we're potentially transitioning through different stages of menopause. We are aging. And we want to do this in a very active, functional, vibrant, do what you want kind of aging. That's how I would like to do it. And if I'm forcing that opinion on you, I don't mean to. However, you likely have your own thought process of how you see yourself aging. And menopause is a part of aging. So some of the things and changes that we are experiencing we are experiencing them because our bodies are aging. All right, I just have to throw that out there. And we want to be able to do the things we want to do. And I've threw this picture up here because, man, this is a really great way to do some upper body strengthening exercises in the push-up form. So, for example, when you're brushing your teeth at night, you could choose maybe to do a few of these little push-ups where you put your hands outside your shoulders and just use the edge of your countertop before you put the toothpaste on your toothbrush, and maybe do like 5 of these, 5 push-ups where your elbows bend, your elbows extend, your elbows bend, your elbows extend. You might try it. It's kind of fun. Just don't do it too quick because you don't want to hit your teeth on the counter. I'm only just saying that because of experience. So we are here to learn about how exercise affects us in the stages of menopause: perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So I'm going to throw this slide here. The type of physical activity you do or don't do helps or hinders hormone balance. And you're like, okay, Nicole, your slide doesn't say anything there, right? It's like the stuff I do or I don't do will help or hinder. Well, yeah, of course, we know that. That's logical, right? But what I'm really trying to get at in this slide is that we're going to talk about hormone balance. The stuff we do or the stuff we don't do will help or will hinder the way our hormones are balancing. And right now, if you're in perimenopause, you're probably like, my hormones are so crazy right now. I don't even know what hormones I have, but I'm feeling a little crazy. And perimenopause is definitely a section of that. You may, however, be feeling a little bit out of sorts in menopause and postmenopause too. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit in this presentation about the right exercise type, intensity, time, and recovery. So really what we want to come down to when it relates to exercise is how hard we're exercising, which type of exercise, how long we're exercising, and how much recovery do we need to really improve the way our hormones are balanced. And in the end, if we could somehow align our hormones to have them balanced more, it will improve or help reduce our body fat. I don't know if any of you are experiencing some increased belly fat. Yes, back fat, right? Back of the neck fat, around the lower body fat, all of that increases, right? When our hormones are out of whack. And I just say out of whack because it is a transition that our bodies are going through. I don't mean that anything is crazy, although you may feel like it is, but it is a normal way of aging. So when we can improve our hormone balance, we increase bone density, we increase lean muscle mass, we decrease sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass. It helps regulate all our hormones. It improves night sweats, improves hot flashes. I'm having those. Improves our energy and our mood swings, reduces brain frog. It is brain frog some days. And it builds our confidence, improves our sex drive, yes, and also our skin textures. You may notice your skin texture may be changing and altering a little bit as well. So this presentation is for you if you want to learn about some of the hormones that affect you during menopause and how exercise will affect those, or you want to understand some of the latest research that supports how to best exercise while you're in menopause, whether it's perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause. Whether you feel overwhelmed because of all this information overload about exercising when you're a midlife woman, or maybe you found that there is hardly any information about exercising as a midlife woman, right? I found that a lot. You may feel like what you used to do not working anymore. So you want to say, okay, well, what's going on? How can I make this better? Or you want to move more effectively in your incredible body as it is today. Today. Today is the day. Not as it was before and not as it could be in the future. It is today. All right. So have you ever eaten a whole pie? Just raise your hand if you ever tried. You feel stuffed, right? You like stuffed so full. Well, the good news is, yeah, thank you for raising your hand and saying, yes, you did. Right? We don't want to feel stuffed. And I could tell you a ton of information about this. I'm going to try to simplify things and keep it so we're only eating a slice of pie so that you're not going to feel so stuffed by the end that you could feel like, okay, I could take a few of these little pieces and maybe consider adding them into my life, or maybe that isn't going to be something that I want to add into my life. So just a slice of the pie today, please. So some of the things we'll learn, we'll talk about a very high level view of a few of the major hormones that affect us in menopause. Okay, so there's just a few of them. There are many, but we'll talk only a few and how exercise is applicable to them. And then things to consider for sustainable exercise and benefits of reducing some of the symptoms that we've talked about a little bit, but not much, of all stages of menopause. And then how you might apply some of this information in your life, or if you're wanting to learn this, how you could apply it, help your clients apply this into their life too. Now, I love to share this one thing that I've been thinking about for a long time because I love to learn. I said that. I've taken many of a course here and there. And sometimes I learn the information and then I never use it. Right? And there's this phrase, it's called knowledge is power. Right? Knowledge is power. And I like to think it a little bit of a tweak to that, where knowledge is potential power. Because those times when I took something and I liked the course and then I never did anything with it, well, where is the power behind that? Now, I don't discredit learning. I'm not saying that. But maybe there's something in this presentation that you can take with you and then potentially apply it into your life so that you are feeling powerful about this time that you're spending with me today. All right, so let's get down to the business of cortisol, which is the very first hormone I'd like to chat about. So we know cortisol is a hormone. It's released by the adrenal glands in response to stress. I know most of us kind of know that. Cortisol, we talk about it as a stress hormone. Did you also know that it is a metabolic hormone too? So it helps us with our energy use and our energy distribution. So we're used to thinking cortisol is a bad hormone. It can be if it's always really high. And it can be if it's super duper low. So we're going to talk about how to get it kind of in a more middle ground, more in a medial kind of sweet spot. Cortisol also follows the circadian rhythm, which is really important when we come to tips here about how to exercise in menopause. So here's a slide about blood cortisol over the day. Our cortisol in the early morning spikes. So we know that cortisol is a stress hormone. We also know it's a metabolic hormone, so it gives you energy as well. So how many of you, and you can raise your hand or you can click on the button, how many of you find you're most productive in the morning? If you do feel that you're most productive in the morning, likely your cortisol level is spiking in the morning, which is where it should be highest in the morning, 6, 7, 8. You'll see at 9 a.m. it starts to go down. And then around noon, it comes up a smidge. And then it goes down, 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 down till later in the day because we are getting ready to go to sleep. So we have this spike in the morning, and then we have a little spike, and then it goes down in the morning and the evening because we're getting ready to sleep. So I'm talking about the circadian rhythm for just a brief moment. Not that I want you to memorize anything around this clock, but I just want you to know we have 12 hours of light and we have 12 hours of dark. Now, it depends on where you live. I know all that, like physical light, physical dark. However, I would love us to start thinking about how we spend our days in the light and how we spend our days in the dark. Because when we think of cortisol and it being highest in the morning, it's great because that's when the light is there. That's the first light is coming. And then as we're getting ready to go to sleep, it gets darker. That is when we hopefully are being able to get ready to rest and rejuvenate and recover. So thinking of your day in this way will help when you think about your exercise, because when you start thinking about how our bodies are changing, we are filled with stressful moments through the day. Yes? Yes, some of you, right? We are faced with a lot of stress. We are in high energy situations often through the day. And we have a lot of pressure on us as women who are aging. We have a lot of people who want us all the time. So that's a stressor. We also have this other side, which is our estrogen is slowly declining. It could be fast declining, especially if you have surgical menopause, right? It could just be one day you don't have any estrogen. So when you don't have estrogen, it's difficult to counteract cortisol because estrogen helps with reducing cortisol. It counteracts cortisol. So as estrogen declines in perimenopause and menopause, it's less available to us to help us with this balancing of cortisol. So if cortisol is high and it doesn't have estrogen to help it anymore, we start to see it show up in our bodies physically and mentally, right? So we start to feel mentally stressed because estrogen isn't helping to combat that. We also see this belly fat deposits, middle back deposits, some bone loss, bone density loss, or muscles lost, right? Our muscles are feeling less firm. And we wake up a lot. Our sleep-wake cycles are all over the place. We may not be able to fall asleep, or we may wake up in the middle of the night and just lay there for a while because we just can't sleep. And we notice changes in our skin. Yes, wrinkles, yes, but you may have noticed maybe your thighs are getting crepey looking, the skin. It's because this estrogen is going down and the cortisol has no controller anymore. So we have to do things in our life to help ourselves bring down cortisol. Okay, so we want to talk about this cortisol being in the sweet spot where our blood sugar becomes more normalized, where our stress response is normalized, where our body uses fats, proteins, and carbohydrates effectively for energy instead of storing it, and blood pressure is regulated, our sleep-wake cycles are more regular, our immune system, so important, becomes more stable. So, I just want to tell you about Rosemary. She is in a program I am hosting, and I'm actually going to give you some details about how you can learn a little bit more about how exercise and hormones and how to exercise as a group. So Rosemary is in my group called the Menopause Movement Mission. She is a nurse. She was living with a series of difficult events. She was feeling so tired and sluggish, and she knew exercise was important, but she had no idea where to start. So she decided to join the Menopause Movement Mission, which I'll tell you more about at the end of this presentation. And what she noticed is coming together with women who are just like her and moving together and learning the basics of how to move in the body we're in now safely, effectively, helped her to move into doing physical activity regularly. And this is her in a cross-country snow skiing recently. And she went on this trip and she had been in the menopause movement mission for, for 8 weeks prior. And she's just feeling more energy and more confident. And she's enjoying exercise and movement again. So let's talk about how exercise can impact your cortisol. Some of us have been conditioned, if we're exercising, that we must do high intensity exercise all the time. So that's one thing. If you're doing that, good for you. Except I want to ask, just like Dr. Phil said, how is that working for you? Because if you're doing high intensity exercise all the time, your body will stay in a state of higher stress. Your cortisol will stay higher. And if you happen to be working all day and then doing your high intensity workout late at night, you are going to find that you're probably not sleeping as well as you could, and your recovery is not as great. So exercise working at a high intensity is a great thing to do, and I'll tell you about that in a moment, but we want to look about where we're doing it. So first of all is what time in the day. We want to do our highest exercise and hardest exercises in the morning. Because why? What have we learned already? Cortisol is highest in the morning, right? So we have that spike of cortisol. It's our energy hormone. If we want to do a high intensity impact, a high intensity weight training, we want to do it in the morning because we want to have our body have some recovery time by the time we get ready for sleep, right? If you're exercising and you're feeling exhausted, this is not a good scenario. So if you are exhausted and you're exercising still and you're trying to do high intensity and hard exercises and long endurance trainings, it's not going to benefit you as much as if you pulled back some of the effort and reduce some of the cardio, because it's causing a lot of stress on your body. So another thing that happens with the cortisol being high is if we are not recovering after our exercise. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things I've explored with that have really been beneficial for me about recovery. And or we're doing really, really, really long sessions of exercise. I'm talking like more than 60 minutes of exercise at a time. That will keep your cortisol levels high. So exercising late in the evening, exercising when you're feeling stressed or exhausted, having too much exercise without any recovery, and exercising for longer than necessary. Okay, so we want to exercise early. Cortisol, I made a typo here. It says cortisol is lowest early in the day. 25 push-ups for me. Cortisol is highest earliest in the morning. So it's highest. Use it as the advantage and exercise early. This allows your body to follow the circadian rhythm as well, right? Because we want those exercises in the morning so we have time to live our life in the day and then be ready to rest when we're ready to rest in the evening. Okay, so that's an easy fix and not an easy fix. However, if we just start to think about when could I plan exercise, I don't mean getting up at 4 a.m. when you're already exhausted and exercising early in the morning, because our sleep is actually much more of a priority during this stage of our lives. Okay. Exercise, and I want us to get out of the habit of thinking that we have to catch up for exercise. Some of us have this attitude, we got to catch up. We missed our exercise, we got to catch up. So we'll do it late in the day, or we'll get up super early even though we only slept for 4 hours. No. Give yourself a break. Know that this time in our lives is a big adjustment of our bodies, a big adjustment. And so we have to allow ourselves some grace, some love, self-compassion. Skip the exercise, get the rest. There's a fine line, of course, between that. However, we can talk about that too. You can it's suggested to do light exercise at any time you want. What I mean by light exercise is walking. Anytime you want, walking with a friend, even better, because there's going to be some serotonin and oxytocin flowing there too, which helps reduce cortisol as well. You could do Tai Chi, yoga, but I'm not talking hot power flow yoga. That is not light exercise. That is a stressful kind of exercise. And yes, I will say, and I just said it, exercise is a stressor on your body, right? So we would just want to have a complement of that. Yoga, stretching. I'm sure you can throw out put into the chat any light exercise that you do on a regular basis. And you could put that anytime you want, in the morning, in the evening, midday, wherever. And, oh, did I skip a slide? No. Yes. Okay. So I wanted to move and switch topics because I've talked a little bit about cortisol, and I want to move into something that has been conditioned for all of us. We notice that we have gained some belly fat. We notice our bodies are changing, and we've always been told you've got to exercise more and you got to eat less. I just want to put like 45 X's all over this slide because I too have fallen into this trap until I started learning a lot more about how our hormones are affecting us. This is going to backfire on us, this exercise more and eat less, because it'll cause more stress on our bodies and the cortisol will stay high. So if you are feeling exhausted, if you are feeling tired, if you are feeling like, oh, I don't want to exercise, I hate exercise, that's a whole other story. But all of those stressors, those kinds of stressors will keep the cortisol higher. So we want to think, let's not exercise more and beat ourselves up anymore. We can take a choice and have a choice that we can say, let's try restorative exercise and physical activity, which is stuff around your house, right? When you're gardening, when you're mopping, I mean, chores around the house, when you're painting, when you're reorganizing, that is physical activity that has to be credited to your body and your movement. Whether or not it's physical exercise, that's a whole other thing. That's different. But I want you to give yourself credit for all the things that you're doing on a daily basis, because sometimes that is enough for whatever stage you're in, especially if you're feeling tired and exhausted. And I will recommend, if you are exhausted at this point in time, to really look at how you can improve your sleep. And I'll have some tips on that in a moment. So let's get rid of this exercise more and eat less idea, because we could exercise effectively and still eat the same. Similar. Of course, I have a whole thoughts on eating, but that's not what this presentation is about. So how much exercise is right? I'm putting this in quotations, right. Well, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on you. It depends on where your hormones are at, but it really depends on how you feel. If you're feeling energized, then this slide applies to you. 40 to 45 minutes a week of intense exercise is what they say. So that's working hard, right? And you can spread it out into mini sessions, but it's short and intense. And some of us don't know what that really means yet because we've never really experienced that. However, it's when you're working, if you put yourself on a scale of like 1 to 10, like a pain scale, if I had 0 pain to like 10 pain, please call 911. I'm in excruciating pain. If you put yourself on exertion level on that scale, you would be exercising about a 6, 7, 8. But you'd never get to a 9 or a 10, because a 9 or a 10 gets you to the point of exhaustion. And when you get to a point of exhaustion, cortisol is going up. It's very difficult to recover. So just thinking about how much exercise is right. And if you are stressed and you're exhausted, that restorative exercise is much more of a priority for you until you start to feel more energized and get your sleep cycle restored. Okay. Whew, this is a lot of information, isn't it? I did want to talk about injuries in this stage of life because, yes, injuries can happen more easily in midlife. I'm sighing because it is true. So it's important to pay attention to your muscles and your joint injuries and illnesses and to stop trying to do all of these high intensity workouts. Have you heard of an AMRAP or an EMOM? These are as many rounds as you possibly can and every minute on the minute workouts. They are really high stress workouts. And when we are in our bodies that we're in right now, we need to slow down our technique and be sure that our our movements are safe and effective. So slowing down ensures you're doing it safely and it prevents injuries and you're doing it purposefully instead of being erratic, overzealous, which can lead to injuries. So many women, right in this phase of our lives, a lot of broken wrists, plantar fasciitis, things like that can happen in this middle age, midlife section. So being sure that your movements are safe and effective and potentially working with somebody to help ensure that you are being safe and effective. Okay, so here's Stephanie. She is in the Menopause Mission. She's a teacher. She has a husband who's super, super duper active, and he was telling her that he couldn't believe the things that we're doing in the Menopause Movement Mission because he didn't even know how to do them. I just thought that was so great. But she is so committed to coming to the Menopause Movement Mission herself, for herself. And her favorite exercise is the skull crusher. If you don't know what a skull crusher is, we learn all about different kind of weight training in this program that I'll tell you about at the end. Okay. So another thing in moving with movement is to pay attention to your need to be perfect and to try to release strong opinions when it comes to movement. So we have been, of course, conditioned to ensure that we stay looking a certain way and things should be done a certain way because that's what we learned when we were younger. But that really brings in a lot of stress, doesn't it? To be perfect, to be so opinionated. It takes a lot of energy to do that. And wouldn't it be great to better serve your energy in another way? And so it's okay to not really know how to exercise at this stage of life, right? We're so used to knowing everything. But what happens if we just release some of that? And yes, expose ourselves to become more updated on the information. But if we are stuck in the same ways of thinking, it slows us down. We won't try new things. We won't expose ourselves to updated information. We wouldn't take a chance on a course that we wanted to take because we are stuck in our ways. Oh, so somebody raised their eyes. Oh, Amy says skull crusher. What is that? It raises my curiosity. So Suzanne, I'm just going to the chat here. 40 to 45 minutes a week, or how many days in a week? Right. So 40 to 45 minutes a week. That's it. We are so conditioned to work out every day. So some of us who have been working out our whole entire lives, right? I used to do that too, up until about 2 years ago, where I was working out every day of the week. I still have to tell myself, Nicole, you don't need to work out today. Today is a restoration day. Oh yeah, so I'll go for a walk instead. So I'm still doing some kind of physical activity, but I'm not exercising, like I'm not running and I'm not lifting weights. I am just doing something more restorative for my body. That's only 10 minutes, 4 days a week. It is, that's true. 10 minutes for 4 days a week. If I am more productive in the late afternoon or early evening, does that mean my circadian rhythm is off? Well, there's a lot more questions I'd have to ask you about that one, Christy. However, you could start to look at yourself and see your patterns and see how you align with the circadian rhythm. And you could just Google circadian rhythm. There's so many cool little pictures of that. And so you can see kind of where you fit in. And it's just kind of, looking around and seeing how your body is designed, because that's another thing, how your environment is, what your patterns are, what your culture is. There's so many things that are part of this. So Karen is asking 45 minutes of intense, but how much time of light exercise? Well, You can do any type of light exercise on any days of the week at any time of the day. And light exercise would be like a walk, unless you're going hiking and you're carrying a rucksack and you're going uphill for 25 miles. That's intense exercise, right? So we're thinking about the light exercise as more restorative, and we're thinking of the harder exercises in that 6, 7, 8 range of perceived exertion. Okay. Whew, this is great. I'm loving these questions. Okay, so what else we got on this slide? Oh, I missed. Oh, yes. So we do with this thought process of reducing stress, because we're opening ourselves up to new ideas. This also helps reduce our stress, right? Looking for people, actions, pets, things that bring us joy, and staying with that so that we do help reduce cortisol in a natural way by increasing serotonin and oxytocin. And we balance the stress. And then, of course, recovering from exercise. That means space in between hard exercise. And that's a perceived thing, right? If you're feeling exhausted after a training session, like meaning you need to take a nap, that exercise session was too hard for you at this stage of life. So that means the next time you wouldn't do that same workout, you would pull it back a little bit so that you could feel energy after your workout. And then space in between, like a day or two in between before you do something intense again. It is a different way of thinking, especially if you have been in the fitness world for a very long time and what you are conditioned to know about exercising. So let's talk testosterone. Yes, women have testosterone, which is produced in the ovaries and adrenal glands. It plays, of course, a critical role because all the hormones are coming together. They work together. However, it naturally declines with age. And if you have had a surgical menopause, you don't have ovaries anymore, potentially. So you have lost that piece of creating testosterone. So just some thoughts about testosterone. Testosterone helps us maintain bone density, maintain muscle mass. It helps decrease body fat. It improves our sex drive. Yes, we still like sex. It regulates other hormones. And if it's too low, we have night sweats and hot flashes. Okay, so I have night sweats and hot flashes. Yes, I do. And so we want to get testosterone in a sweet spot. Sweet spot means that we're exercising at the right time. So those high intensity exercises in the morning at the right intensity for you. So intensity, that's 6, 7, 8 range on an intensity scale, perceived exertion. And what are you doing? Like what kind of exercise? So long distance exercise, like long distance running, endurance exercise can actually reduce testosterone. And this was really hard for me to take because, friends, I love cardio. I enjoy going for a run, a long run. I enjoy doing hour-long sessions of HIIT intensity. I enjoy that. However, as I was coming into these stages of menopause, I was like, why am I so tired after that workout? And I had no idea that I was causing myself so much negative impact with exercise. I had no idea until I started fooling around with all of these times, and I reduced my exercise. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, I'm sleeping better. I reduced that. I reduced all this high endurance kind of stuff. And I started to add restoration into my life. So after an intense workout, I'll actually do some little bit of stretching, and then I lay on the floor for 10 minutes with my legs elevated, and I listen to some calming music. I focus on my breath, and I've really noticed this has positively impact my hot flashes and my night sweats, because the restoration part is helping to reduce my cortisol. The weight training, lifting weights, helps with testosterone production. I did want to talk about this muscle fatigue versus being tired. So I always have a joke in my menopause movement mission, which is, what weight are you using? So, and somebody will inevitably show me a 2-pound weight. And I'm like, that is great that you're lifting those 2-pound weights, but or I shouldn't say, but I should say, and your purse is heavier than that 2-pound weight. So we have been conditioned that we are frail, that we are fragile, that we cannot lift heavy things. And I'll tell you, that is so wrong, because how many of you like lift up a suitcase and put it in when you're traveling? How many of us are lifting water bottles and moving planters around our garden? We are moving things that are heavy. So when we lift weights, we want to try to focus on lifting heavier than your purse. So I just make a joke at that, because we'll still, some weight is better than no weight. However, I will always encourage people to lift. There's some progression time to this, friends. It's not just the first day you're lifting 45 pounds, right? There's progression. Our joints need to accommodate. Our joints need to get used to consistent weight. However, over time, we build up the weight because we want to make muscle. We're losing muscle because our estrogen is declining. So we need to get it going. So we need this testosterone to help with that. Here's Kristen. She's a teacher. She's one of the most supportive, kind people in the world. She never lifted heavy weights in her life. And now she's saying the workouts are effective. They're not overwhelming. They're doable. They're not discouraging. She can keep up. She feels successful. She feels motivated to continue. She's been with the Menopause mission since the beginning. She sees progress. She's lifting heavier weights. And her favorite exercises are butt kickers. Butt kickers. You're like, what are those? That's where you kick your own butt. All right. Human growth hormone is very important. It's produced during our sleep cycles, deep sleep, and this naturally declines with age. So when you have low human growth hormone, we get weight gain, where our energy is decreased. We lose interest in sex. Our skin is aging. Insomnia happens. Our bones get weaker, and we get mood swings. So how do we get it? We want to get it in the sweet spot. We want to keep it flowing. We've got to get good sleep is the number one thing, because if you're not getting deep sleep, that is the very first thing we need to address in the menopause stages, is getting better sleep. Then you can move in progress into exercise and looking at how you can exercise more effectively. But sleep is a number one thing. All right. And you can do both at the same time, by the way. You can tweak things. So how you get more growth hormone is to lift heavy things. Lift heavy things. So, yes, my husband always says, "Oh, do you want me to get that big water bottle for you when they deliver those?" And I say, "No, I want to carry those because I want to keep doing things active in my life." Power movements. Weight training is not just doing a bicep curl, la, 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 la. Power movements are like quick, strong, fast movements, coupled with slow and movement, yes, but forceful movements, because we need power. Power is one of the things that escapes us very quickly as we age. Quick movements where we need to go somewhere and we need to do it fast. And then there is some opportunity for high intensity interval training with maintaining human growth hormone. And then sprint interval training, which is like super, super duper, duper hard interval training, which I don't highly recommend in our as we age. However, there is a very small sliver of pie for sprint interval training as we age. And then if anyone's interested in intermittent fasting, there is a lot of research on human growth hormone development from intermittent fasting. Okay, so some of the key points that I'm talking about, and then I'm going to move into questions here in a minute. We want to get sweet spot in our hormones. So we want to actually try to make our bodies do certain things with using exercise. So the sweet spot is our goal. All of our hormones are actually working with each other. So you can't just work on cortisol and that be the only thing, right? We want to align, we want to think about estrogen and progesterone. They're in there too. I didn't talk about those very much, but just a little bit. But they're in there too. And we have melatonin in there too, right? Melatonin and cortisol are actually inversely related to each other. So when your melatonin is high, your cortisol goes down. But if your cortisol is always high, where is the melatonin? It's having a hard time being produced. So we want to know that all the hormones work together. We want to try to exercise as early as you can. So because cortisol is naturally highest in the morning, it allows for your recovery through the day, and we want to follow the circadian rhythm. Intensity, we want to work to muscular fatigue. I didn't talk too much about that, but sometimes I was talking about the 2-pound weights. Well, you'd probably have to do about 500 bicep curls before your muscle really got fatigued. And then that puts a lot of pressure on your joints. So that's not a good way to do it. So we want to lift a little bit heavier so that we can use less joint fatigue, more muscle fatigue. Short and intense workouts are great as long as they don't exhaust you. And no more than 40 to 45 minutes a week of higher intensity training. And you can squirt, I don't know if that's the right word, put in, these exercise intensities like in 5-minute intervals. You could just run up the set of stairs a couple times and do that at work. 5 minutes, that's it. And then do that a couple other times during the day. And that would get you to having some higher intensity workouts in your day. And then you want to reduce endurance if at all possible. Doesn't mean you don't do it anymore though, right? Doesn't mean you're not going to do it. You're just going to consider, can I reduce this because is it fatiguing me and is it causing my testosterone to go down? And could I add in some weight training and potentially add more recovery into my life? Okay, and then we want to recover. Are you recovering enough? Are you exercising when you're so fatigued that you don't need to exercise? And how can you enhance your serotonin and oxytocin so it counteracts some of the cortisol? So doing things that are pleasing to you, that you bring you joy, hanging out with a girlfriend that you love, that increases serotonin and oxytocin. Get enough sleep, and then try some restorative things like yoga, qigong, tai chi, walking, whatever. I did say squirt, Amy, you caught me. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Menopause Movement Mission because I have a new program coming up, a new session that starts on March 1st. The Menopause Movement Mission is a group of women who come together. We spend the first 15 to 20 minutes I'm going to talk like my dad. He always called it shooting the shit. Sitting together, connecting. There's always a piece of education that happens. So maybe it is talking more about cortisol and how we can bring it down. Maybe it is talking about sleep hygiene and how we might consider applying that into our lives. Then we move from there into a warm-up. We may do a full body. Normally it's a full body workout that we do. The first few weeks are devoted to just learning technique without any weights, because we're building our bodies up to learn how to do the weight movements with weights. And then we progress into weight training, to resistance training, to understand what these moves are and what they're for and how to do them safely and in our bodies. So because you are attending this program today, I'm offering you $40 off the next movement mission, but only until the 19th at 10 p.m. So you can go to Blue Monarch Health /MMM. I'm putting it in the chat so you can just click that link to learn more about it. But it starts on March 1st. It goes to April 22nd. We meet on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 7 a.m. Pacific time live. It's on Zoom. You don't have to be there that early because you're going to get the recordings. You're also going to get a printout of what we did, so you could do the session on your own. We have a private Facebook group. We have a lot of fun in this group, and every session's recorded. Let me see what else we got. Oh, there's my thing. Yeah, so it's normally $229 for 8 weeks, but you get $40 off, 16 sessions. They're recorded. You can have them your whole life if you want to. Oh, yes, I don't need to keep talking. Oh, yes, I only have 6 spots left, and I'm not just saying that out of scarcity. I really like to keep this group small. So if you are considering it all, please get yourself signed up, because I will limit this class, because I don't want to have a lot of people in there, because I actually do pull you up on screen and give you critique, not positive reinforcement of what's going on in your body to help you get the movements proper. Okay. So just so you know, I'm not doing this out of scarcity. I'm doing this because I want to keep the group small. Let's see. I'm signing up. Yes. All right, Amy. Good. Good. Get yourself signed up. We want you there. It is so much fun. Okay. So I'm coming off of screen share. Hi. All right. So what equipment do you need? Thanks, Karen, for this question. So the first couple weeks, we don't use any equipment. So we'll just use our bodies. So it gives you time to actually get your stuff together. So you generally, I suggest to, oh yeah, I thought I put it in the chat. I put it back in. So generally I suggest that you have a lighter set of weights, like 6 pounds. Yes, that's light. 2 of them, one for each hand. So that's 12 pounds total, right? And I suggest you maybe get a 12 pounds weights and maybe a set of 20 pounds weights. That's 40 pounds. I know. You may not even use those 40 pounds at the beginning, right? You might just use one and hold one weight, 20 pounds. There's a lot of things that we do, but it's got to be heavier than your purse. That's all I'm saying. Got to be heavier than your purse. Is there a test to find out if my cortisol and estrogen are high or low, or just do we assume they are wacky? No, well, it's best to get a test. And yes, you could do a Dutch test. You could ask your doctor for that. You could also do some blood testing. And that may help to understand where you're at. It's very valuable. So for me, I just did a whole blood work test and I turned out I don't have any pregnenolone. I can hardly say the word pregnenolone. Pregnenolone is the hormone that helps us make all the other hormones. If I don't got any of that, that means I don't got nothing. So I'm working on like how can I supplement? I'm working with my physician on this, or my healthcare provider, my nurse practitioner. I am working with them to help me devise a plan so that my hormones come back into whack. Back into whack. I don't want to be out of whack. I want to be in whack. Yes, and cortisol fluctuates all day long, so it's not a true value. However, there are cortisol tests that actually show you what time of the day your blood was drawn and tell you, you can look at that so you know. And hi, here's Bumpy. He's come to say hi. Yeah, I was waiting for him. So you can look at that and just be clear with your provider that you want to know what your cortisol level is. So I don't know the name of the exact test, but I could probably find it and send it out after this. So that could be a proper, accurate testing. Yeah. Do you recommend taking HRT or bioidentical or pellets or all natural? So confused. Yes, that is going to be a discussion with your healthcare provider. Oh, I know why you didn't see the link, because I don't have it. I have it going to the waiting room. Oops, I got to move you, baby. Oh, shoot. Here, go down there, sweet boy. Sorry about that. He loves me so much. I love him. He is my oxytocin. Yes. Hi, Buffy. Yes, Marla. Okay. I have my hand up. I don't know why I have my hand up. Okay, so there was a question that I have, like this whole, look at all these questions I got before. And if you have to go, you are welcome to go. It's 12 o'clock, so it's right on the nose on the top of the hour. So if you have to go, this recording, you can come back to it later. Here's the first question. Does bioidentical hormones, in addition to weightlifting and proper nutrition, help with keeping muscle mass on? Yes, it does. So bioidentical hormones are actually estrogens, progesterone, whatever you need. It's your magical component that's made for you. So it goes usually to a compounding pharmacy, and you can work with your pharmacist to figure out how you would get your labs back, your bloods, they say in other countries, back in order. But HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, does show that it helps us maintain muscle and bone density. So we've been conditioned that HRT is not a good thing to do. Sorry, baby, I'm going to put you down. Because of one study. So just so you know, there's more research that is supporting HRT, and it's a discussion by Christy. It's a discussion that you should have with your healthcare provider to know if it's best for you. Everybody is so different and so unique that it's difficult to answer fully, but it does show HRT does improve muscle mass and function and helps delay aging related morbidities. So, I keep reading that I may be doing too much cardio to lose weight. Is this true? And how do I know what's too much? Well, too much cardio is going to be different for everybody. If you're feeling exhausted after your cardio run, that's too much cardio. And then how you feel after your cardio is going to be your indicator of how much is too much. Do recall that endurance training reduces testosterone, those long bouts. So we want to try to incorporate some kind of resistance training alongside an endurance kind of training. Mix it up, and make sure you're getting enough recovery. So you're bringing down this, exercise is a stressor. So helping to bring the stressor hormones down. I'm certainly exploring a lot of stuff about this because I do like cardio. I am going through a health crisis right now. I'm weak, on top of menopause, and suggestions for good exercises to slowly build up my stamina. So patience and healing energy to you as you're restoring yourself. Because you're in a state of recovery, I would suggest to begin with something you really like. So movement you like is going to be the thing to do, and something you don't like brings stress. So something you enjoy is going to be your first step. And maybe it's a walk just around your house so that you're getting out into nature and smelling the air and just seeing the trees or the greenery around you for that healing component. That may help. And then see how you feel after that exercise. If you feel exhausted, it was a little bit too much, and so you want to slow it down a little bit. Thank you. You could even try some seated yoga. There's all tons of stuff on YouTube to try. And let me see. I'll do one more and then I'll let y'all run. Oh, I can't sleep. This is a good one. I can't sleep, or I fall asleep, but I wake up. So how is exercise affecting my sleep? So make sure you're recovering. If you're exhausted, I keep saying that. If you're exhausted after exercise, it was too much. This is a changing time in our bodies. It's not like what we were doing back then. It's not like that anymore. We're moving into a new phase of our lives. I would ask, how often are you exercising? Are you overtraining, not getting enough recovery? Do you have some more space for restoration somewhere in your life? Remember the circadian rhythm, 12 hours light, 12 hours dark. Might be a good thing in the morning when you wake up and you see the sun come up, even if the sun's not up, to go and look at the window and stay looking out the window in the light. Get the light on you. Maybe go outside. You can stay out there maybe 10 minutes with the light in your eyes. There's these little things, these sensors in your eyes that go to your brain that tell your brain, hey, light is here. Let's turn off melatonin. Cortisol's up, right? In the morning, cortisol's up. We want that to happen. Sometimes we have to train ourselves. Shoot, I got to get out. Go in the sun. Do the walk out in the morning. Don't wear your sunglasses. Just get the light in your eyes. Then put them on, right? 10 minutes or so, then put them on. The other thing is, at night, are you getting in the dark soon enough? Because you want to then tell these light sensors again, it is dark. Let's make melatonin so I can sleep. So those are some things. So look at, everybody's got these. We read on these things now. So just, trying to reduce that a little bit, maybe turning on those little sensors that turn this down, the lights down on your phone or your reader or whatever. Get in the dark so you start getting melatonin. And then remembering that their cortisol and melatonin are inversely proportionate. And then looking at sleep hygiene, which I could tell you a whole bunch of stuff to do, but that's not my job to tell you what to do. There's going to be some things that you got to just kind of think about and look, research. If you need some tips, I've got a whole sheet full of them. If you want it, I'll send them. Just let me know. But I'm not going to give it to you and force it on you. And that's it. There was more, but I don't want to keep going because there's so many, and I've already you're so gracious with your time. So I don't know if there were other questions here from everybody who's here. Oh, so cute. Thank you. Thank you, Margaret. Appreciate that comment. I am always available. Email me, nicole@bluemonarchhealth.com. If you have any questions, if you're on the fence about anything, about joining us, you should. I'm not going to say should. I would love you to join us. It is fun. We have a wonderful group, and it's going to be a small group. So, all right. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate your time. You're awesome too. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brent.
Thank you.
And I'm going to send the recording out too.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Suzanne. Good to see you.
See
Thanks,
you.
Lisa. Bye, Alicia. Thanks so much. Bye, Christy. Bye, Kim. Bye, Lisa. Bye, Karen. Mega. Thanks, Amy. Love you. Thanks, Mega. Have a great day.